Welcome to HFY Stories. Please subscribe to the channel. Your one click means the world to me. The third locking pins snapped and skipped beneath the repair bench. 20 minutes remained before debrief, and the armored woman still could not bend her left leg. Colton froze with the driver in his hand while the station ventilation hummed over them. The private room smelled of hot metal, antiseptic foam, and the smoke still trapped in both their uniforms. Across from him, the warrior sat with one cracked shoulder plate removed, watching the ceiling as if she could outstare exhaustion. She had not complained once. That worried him more than shouting would have. He reached under the bench for the fallen pin. 2 hours earlier, the station had nearly torn itself apart. The alarms dragged Colton awake before the first emergency order reached his room. He hit the deck beside his cot, jammed his feet into his boots, and ran into a corridor flashing red. The outer shield line had failed somewhere beyond the maintenance section. Every few seconds, a deep vibration rolled through the bulkheads and shook dust from the ceiling seams. Grace came over the comm. Engineer Colton, Bay 4. Immediate response. Her voice was level. Grace only sounded that calm when the station was in real trouble. Colton grabbed his tool belt from a wall hook and sprinted. 2 thrill soldiers passed him going the opposite direction with ammunition crates locked against their chests. Smoke was already leaking from the next junction. Bay 4 looked worse. A support beam spat sparks near the ceiling. One wall had bowed inward. Oliver, the junior technician, was crouched near Verrill and waving Colton over. Her brace locked solid, Oliver shouted. Impact killed the coupling. Verrill knelt with one hand against a cracked pillar. 7 feet tall, plated in combat armor, she looked built for the kind of violence that made humans instinctively search for cover. Her people valued endurance, discipline, and victory. Tenderness rarely entered the language they used for warriors. Colton dropped beside her and ran a scanner over the mechanical brace fixed along her thigh. Red symbols filled the screen. The emergency lock had done exactly what it was designed to do. The power coupling had burned out, so the servo froze before it could tear itself apart. That also meant Verrill's leg was trapped straight. "Give me half a minute," Colton said. "You have 10 seconds." Her eyes flicked toward the damaged wall. The metal flexed again. Colton tore open the access panel, clipped out the dead connector, and pulled a spare line from his belt. He had performed the same bypass so many times that his hands knew the motion before he finished thinking it through. Strip, seat, bridge, lock. The wall moved another few centimeters. Oliver backed toward the exit. "Colton." "I know." He drove the line into place and closed the circuit. The brace whined. Verrill bent her knee. "Move." She did not waste time thanking him. She caught the back of his uniform, hauled him upright, and shoved him toward the corridor. The wall failed behind them. Pressure slammed through the bay. Colton hit the floor on one shoulder while smoke and grit rolled over him. For several seconds, all he heard was a high metallic ringing. Then a hand appeared in front of his face. Verrill stood over him. "You repair faster than you run." He took her hand. "You're welcome." She pulled him up just before the emergency doors, sealed Bay 4 behind them. The outpost held. For the next several hours, Colton moved through damaged sections with repair crews while medics cleared the wounded. No one had died. Ethan, whom Verrill had carried out after the second blast, was bruised and shaken, but alive. By late afternoon, the alarms finally stopped. The silence afterward felt stranger than the noise. Colton found Verrill in an officer-only maintenance room in the eastern section. Her helmet sat beside her on the bench. Without it, the day showed more clearly on her face. Dust clung to her dark hair. A pale scar traced one side of her jaw. Her shoulder armor was split, and the brace along her thigh had warped around the emergency lock. "You should be in medical," Colton said. "I have already been cleared." You should still be resting. Command will send us out again before rest becomes useful. That sounded like Verrill. Colton set down his case and removed the damaged shoulder plate. The crack was ugly but repairable. He cleaned the edge, aligned the metal, and began welding. For a while, neither spoke. He was used to that with her. Verrill could sit in a room for an hour without filling the air simply because silence existed. Usually, Colton appreciated it. Today he kept seeing Bay 4. The bent wall. The brace locked straight. Her hand reaching down through the dust after the blast. He finished the shoulder plate and moved to her leg. The frame twisted when the servo locked, he said. If I patch only the coupling, it could seize again. Then do it properly. That means staying here longer. I am not leaving with broken armor. He almost smiled. Of course not. He removed the outer thigh plate and started realigning the frame. The work demanded patience. Loosen one section, test the joint, shift the rail, test again. Verrill closed her eyes while he worked. Colton noticed things he had trained himself not to notice. The faint exhaustion around her eyes. The small crease between her brows whenever the damaged joint caught. The way she kept her hands open on her knees, refusing to grip the bench even when the adjustment hurt. For months, he had found reasons to inspect her equipment twice. He had volunteered for repair rotations that placed him near her unit. He had told himself it was professional caution. Bay 4 had stripped that excuse down to nothing. When the wall started to fail, he had not thought about the station. He had thought about Verrill. The last warped rail slid into alignment. Colton fitted a new pin, tightened the housing, and moved the joint by hand. Smooth. He should have stopped there. Instead, he looked up. Verrill had opened her eyes. Smoke stains darkened one side of her face. Her hair was still tangled from the helmet. The cracked armor lay in pieces around her, and she looked more tired than he had ever seen her. The words escaped before caution could catch them. You're beautiful. His hand stopped on the brace. The repair room became so quiet that he could hear the cooling weld tick. Verrill stared at him. Colton felt heat climb into his face. He could have laughed. He could have pretended exhaustion had scrambled his words. He could have buried the sentence under technical talk. He did none of those things. Her expression changed first. Not much. Her jaw slowly unclenched. Her eyes softened. Then a small smile appeared, uncertain at first, as though she had never been given much reason to use it. Say that once more, she said. Colton set the driver down. He forced himself not to look away. I said you're beautiful. I've thought it for a long time. Verrill glanced at her hands. The calluses across her palms were dark with grime from the day's fighting. My people praise strength, she said. We praise discipline. We speak about victories until the stories outlive the warriors. We do not speak to fighters the way you just spoke to me. Why not? Because softness is treated like a door left open. Colton leaned back against the tool case. That sounds miserable. A brief sound escaped her, not quite a laugh, but close. It is familiar. She looked at him again. No one has called me beautiful in 32 years. The number hit him harder than the alarms had. Then they've been ignoring something obvious. Her brow tightened, but not in anger. You saw me in that bay. You saw what I am trained to be. I did. And you still say this. I'm not choosing between the two. He gestured toward the repaired brace. You can be the strongest fighter on this station and still be more than a weapon. One truth doesn't erase the other. Verrill went completely still. Colton had seen her face under incoming fire. He had seen her give orders while bulkheads buckled. He had never seen her look unguarded. Her voice dropped. Humans say dangerous things very casually. We run into damaged bays too, apparently. That was foolish. You dragged Ethan out before I arrived. He needed help. So did you. That is different. It really is. For several seconds, the ventilation fan was the only sound. Then Veril reached across the narrow space between them and placed her hand over his. The gesture was careful, almost formal. Back home, warriors have an old belief about armor, she said. A fighter may trust the person who notices what the armor protects, not only what it defeats. Colton looked down at their hands. Do you believe it? Until today, I had never needed to decide. The station comm cracked alive. Grace's voice filled the room. All personnel, command debrief in 20 minutes. Repair crews, submit readiness status before patrol rotation. Veril withdrew her hand slowly. Duty returned to her posture piece by piece. The plating, she said. Finish it. Colton picked up his tools. Already doing it. He refitted the shoulder section, locked the thigh plate over the repaired frame, and scanned the brace one final time. No warning lights, no resistance. Veril stood. She bent the knee once, then again. The servo answered with a clean mechanical hum. Good, she said. High praise. You earned it. He closed the scanner. Veril reached toward him and straightened the crooked collar of his uniform. The motion was brief, but her hand lingered for half a second before dropping. The unit is gathering after debrief, she said. Sit with me. Colton met her eyes. I will. She lifted her helmet, walked to the doorway, and paused. Colton. He looked back. I owe you thanks. You kept me moving. He nodded. She looked at him a moment longer. And for saying what no one else did. Then she left. Her boots faded down the corridor. Colton remained beside the bench until the repaired brace's diagnostic light went dark. He packed each tool into its slot, closed the case, and stepped into the hall. Evening light had reached the reinforced windows. Orange bands stretched across the floor where soldiers and technicians were already moving toward debrief. Far ahead, Veril turned the corner with her helmet under one arm. Colton tightened his grip on the tool case and followed the fading sound of her steps.